My name's Barbara Cox. You'll be hearing more from me later today. But for the moment, I have the privilege of introducing President Todd Burnett, who is a large part of the spirit and energy behind this event, but not just the event, the whole spirit of social entrepreneurship. And he's going to welcome you and get us started. President Burnett.
Thank you, Dr. Cox. Well, good afternoon, everybody. You enjoying the lunch? Yes. Well, eat up. We got lots of food there. Feel free to go back and have seconds or thirds, as long as it lasts. I'll tell you, I'm extremely excited and thrilled about this kickoff event today. As Barbara alluded to, this is something that I've been working on for many, many months. It's a personal passion of mine. So I'll tell you, when I went over to our Division of Business Sciences, in fact, Barbara Cox was the faculty member that I first spoke to, and I mentioned to her just kind of casually at another meeting, hey, Barbara, what do you know about, or do you have any interest about social entrepreneurship? Well, she lit up like a Christmas tree and says, I can't believe it. It's finally somebody has talked about something that I'm so passionate about. And I'll tell you, just that conversation got us going. And that was many, many months ago. And now I am very excited to have and to present to all of you the very first county in the nation to do a social entrepreneurship competition in the entire nation. We are also the first community college, if not higher educational institution, that's going to be sponsoring a regional social entrepreneurship competition. In fact, the only other large-scale social entrepreneurship competition in the country was actually a state, the state of Michigan. We call it the Michigan model, which you're going to hear a little bit about. So frankly, we are the second in the nation to do this. So folks, we should be very proud at Saddleback College about Orange County and all that we're doing here. And all of you being here shows you why this is so important. So we're extremely excited. So without further ado, I do want to introduce a few key people that are with us here today. First, we are very thrilled to have with us two members of our South Orange County Community College District Board of Trustees. First, the longest serving member of our Board of Trustees, a wonderful supporter of Saddleback College, the clerk of the board, Marcia Milchiker. We're also pleased to have with us here our esteemed student trustee serving on the board, and that's David Robinson. I'm also pleased to introduce the president of our Associate Student Government for Saddleback College, Baman Sabahi. And somebody else very, very important to our college and to our community is our Saddleback College Foundation, who also has a role with this competition. And very pleased to have with us here our past president and still a member of the board and the executive committee as well, Donna Varner. Well, as you know, and what you're going to hear about is this is all about partners. This isn't, as you notice, we purposely have not said just Saddleback College. This is a competition that is for our region, it's for our nation, it's for our state. It's really a broad competition. In fact, we welcome participation from people all over the world, frankly, let alone all throughout the state and throughout the nation. And with that, locally, we have some very important partners that are here today. We'll have a lot more partners, too, working on this. But they did come today, and I did want to recognize them. First, we're thrilled to have with us here from the UCI Blackstone Entrepreneurship Center, David Ochi. Another important partner with our college and district is Brandman University, and we're thrilled to have Kathy Margolin, who's the Associate Dean of the School of Business. Our sister college, who we work very closely with, is Irvine Valley College, and we have many people here from IVC, but I do want to recognize the Dean of Business Sciences and Fine Arts, David Gatewood. And I'm not sure, is anybody else here that I didn't see that maybe showed up from one of our partner organizations? Okay. With that, I would like to introduce at this time the primary team. As I mentioned, Dr. Barbara Cox, who has already come up here, and you'll hear from her next. But we'd like to just recognize the wonderful competition team that's been really the core of putting this all together. In addition to Barbara Cox, we have our newest professor in the School of Business Sciences, and it's our first full-time entrepreneurship professor, and that's Scott Frederickson. Next faculty member is, and I'm very pleased because she just received a couple days ago, thank you to the Board of Trustees and everybody, her full tenure status, Rebecca Knapp. Another long-standing associate faculty member of this college and also involved with our Saddleback College Foundation, with the community, and it's just been so wonderful, Barry McCarthy. In the back there. And then, of course, no surprise, all this happens, but it's very important on the administrative side. And we have a dean, an acting dean, actually, of business sciences and economic and workforce development, who's been enormously supportive and helpful for this. And that's acting dean Tony Tang in the back there. Finally, I'd like to recognize somebody you're going to hear a lot about also today, is one of our important partners. He actually was the one that led the Michigan model, and we're thrilled that he's been here working with us on this countywide competition, and very excited that he flew all the way from Washington, D.C. here to be here today, and that's Rich Taffel, who is the president of The Public Squared. Rich Taffel. Well, as I said when I started earlier, first, thank you all very much for being here. This is a kickoff. That means we've just begun. We're just now going to start in full force to get through this competition that's going to go forward. The reason we're holding this today is to get you more information about this competition, how it's going to work, how it came about, how you can get involved, and also give you an opportunity to ask some questions at the end and have some dialogue. So without further ado, pleased to bring back up here Dr. Barbara Cox.
Thank you, President Burnett. My task is to talk a little bit about social entrepreneurship and what it is, what it's all about, a little bit about why Saddleback College is a fertile ground for building this in Orange County. So one definition that we have that's up here is that it's the process of it's the pursuit of solutions to complex social problems through sustainable business models. Sounds like some sociologist wrote that, it's like an academic kind of definition. But to make it simple, it's creating innovation and businesses to do good. And that's the ultimate reason for it. Identifying problems that need solutions, finding innovative solutions that are business model solutions, and applying them. I think that this decade is probably going to be called the age of social entrepreneurship because it is really taking hold. To add to that, let me get this other. There. Thank you. Much better if I'm not craning my neck. To add to that, we've taken a page from Rich Taffel's book about 5 important elements in social entrepreneurship and what is a social entrepreneur. And we've said that this person is tenacious. And certainly where we have seen entrepreneurship, whether social or otherwise, it takes tenacious people, stubborn people that are hard to get along with sometimes, but they make things happen. Who have a pragmatic vision that's not air out there. They really have a plan to do something to make it happen. And they prioritize social impact over financial gain. And come back to that in a moment. Their solutions address clear social problems. Their solutions change systems, not just Band-Aids for the symptoms, and they generate a sustainable funding stream. So this is what social entrepreneurship is about, and who are the social entrepreneurs. Let me give you an example, and you'll hear more examples as the day goes on. But about 5 years ago, a group of women in Los Angeles came to me. There was a social problem. I think Los Angeles has a social problem. And they said the divorce rate in Los Angeles was like 60%. Now, that's not my problem. I've been married 43 years. I don't have a problem. But the problem that they were seeing that they wanted to solve was not to reduce the divorce rate, but to reduce the negative impact on the children of divorced parents. So they saw a need, they saw a problem, and I worked with them. We built a curriculum, we built a set of objectives, we built activities, exercises, we brought in the people who were involved or who were in the situation, who needed to figure out how to parent as single parents and to do so in a collaborative way that was supportive to their kids. And so ultimately, we built a little network in LA to offer these training sessions. So they had all of the tools. We trained the people there to do this. And the market, what really made it happen was the courts in LA were requiring divorcing parents to get help with their breakup in a way that was not going to be, or lessen the devastation for their kids. It built a little business in LA with a ready market, and it is sustainable. They're still there today. This was about 5 years ago. So it built a self-sustaining business and was working toward a social problem, and it's still there. You're all going to think of ideas and examples of this before the day is over, I'm sure. Who in here is a social entrepreneur? All hands. I want to see everybody's hands up there, because if you're not yet, we think you're going to be, because we think that we are a solution to a lot of problems, a lot of challenges, and a lot of questions. Okay. Here at Saddleback College, I can do a little promotion, can't I? Mayn't I? We have the fortune of having a wonderful entrepreneurship program. We have a degree, we have a certificate, and we have occupational skills award in entrepreneurship. And we have built it over the last number of years by watching for needs and adding to that program where we saw these needs happening. So we didn't just have an entrepreneurship class. We have entrepreneurial finance. We have entrepreneurial accounting. We have, coming up in fall, legal aspects of entrepreneurship. We have human resources and employment law. We have social media, which, as you all know, if you're a startup business, you cannot do without social media. We have sustainability and regulatory compliance. And in fall, we will have the first offering of a class entitled Social Entrepreneurship. And it took us a while to get there. But because the people here, the environment, the energy at Saddleback College is so supportive and so open to these innovations, it's happening. And it's just extremely, as President Burnett mentioned, extremely exciting for all of us. So that's the little promotion there, if I may. All right. I would like to introduce our special guest speaker today, a gentleman by the name of Rich Taffel. He is a serial entrepreneur, and there are probably quite a few serial entrepreneurs in here, and we're making him a serial social entrepreneur and a strategist. He was involved in building strategies for some of the most challenging social causes of our times. Civil rights, he doesn't look old enough to be part of that moment. AIDS in Africa, college access, healthcare reform, and ending poverty. His work crosses borders. He's wearing a bright red Mexican tie today as representing his job as Chief Strategy Officer for the Workplace Wellness Council of Mexico. He's a visiting lecturer at Johns Hopkins University on healthcare advocacy. He's also worked for high-tech companies, so he gets it, including Google. You all heard of that little startup. Last year, his company, Public Squared, provided the strategy for Michigan's, the nation's first social entrepreneur competition. And he's brought it here. So we are very excited to be working with Public Squared as we going to take the success, I think Rich already sees it, we're going to take the success that he had in Michigan and we're going to multiply it several times over here in Orange County, California. We've asked him to share some context, some information on the need for this type of competition and tell us about what happened in Michigan and tell us what makes this model, the model that we are using and building on, the important one that is unique in this country. Rich Chappell.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you to the Saddleback team for being such great partners in laying the groundwork for what I think is going to be exciting and historic, what we can do here in California. Well, just by way of context, we've celebrated some big milestones recently. The 50th anniversary of the March on Washington and Dr. King's famous speech. And Dr. King is very much associated with civil rights. What people know less about Dr. King's life is he was a champion really for people in poverty and declared the war on poverty, led to Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty. So 50 years ago, our nation really sought to address those issues. And one of the sad notes is that 50 years later, poverty in the United States still lingers between 12 and 15%. That's kind of embarrassing for a country that has such greatness, but at the same time, we still have this, we have not moved the needle. It's not for not spending a lot of money. We spend over $1 trillion a year on programs. And so what people are coming to realize is we need new strategies to address poverty. And poverty affects so many other social issues. So you say, is this focused on poverty? Healthcare outcomes are affected by poverty. Education outcomes are affected by poverty. So everything is connected in the social strata. And we have some really tough social issues in this country. And until we come up with new ways to address it, we're not going to address it. And it's become very popular recently with the Pope and the President have declared it's going to be a priority. I really believe that the innovation, the solutions, are more likely to come from people in this room at the grassroots level who are living in communities and have a great idea. And what's been missing about entrepreneurship, and particularly social entrepreneurship, is investing in those great ideas and making them scale. And that's what this is really all about. And that's what's really going to be unique about this model. Now, last year, as mentioned, at 2012, talking with the governor's team in Michigan, in the state of Michigan, they're facing some very serious numbers, right? You all know about Detroit. You read about Detroit in the news all the time, right? Bankruptcy. It's estimated that 60% of the children in the city are in poverty, that a third of the population is in poverty in Detroit. So Michigan was basically saying, we've tried other strategies to address this issue in the state. They haven't worked. Let's try something else. What could we do to really bring forth new ideas, new innovation that could really change things here? And the idea was, what if we created a really welcoming place for social entrepreneurs? How would we do that? And that's when the idea of doing a competition came up. What if we did a competition, we put it out to the whole state, did it statewide, and saw what ideas came forth. And so that's how it all launched. And they warned us, they said, look, you'll be lucky if you get 20 people interested in this, because people here don't really know what social entrepreneurship is. So don't be disappointed if you don't get any interest. If you hit 20 applications, we'll feel good about it. And in the beginning, people said to me, social entrepreneurship, is that like Twitter? I said, no, that's social media. It's different than social entrepreneurship. And people said, oh, it's like entrepreneurship. I said, yes, but it's doing social good. So there was some education. And we decided to create a model that was a win for everybody, not just the people who won the prizes. So we did a whole education program. We did webinars online, and that was our first indication that we were on something really different. And that's when the state of Michigan said, this is really different. Because 300 people registered for the program. And our first webinar, over 100 people crashed our system. We had to get a new system to deal with the overflow. I think the interest in this room and the fact that we have to bring chairs out, we're ready for something different in this country. And I think you at Saddleback and the Orange County community, and I love the way that you're being collaborative, inclusive. It's not about ego and turf, it's about everybody winning. That is the smartest way to approach it. I'm really excited that you're doing it that way. But we can pull everybody together and we can make a change here. So we did the competition, 300 people registered. We had 150 business plans submitted. Again, completely overwhelmed the system. And of those 150 business plans, we had 10 prize tracks, and it grew during the contest. We started with 5, we grew to 10 because other prize donors got interested, and I think that's going to happen here too. We had our 10 winners. We had our event where they would pitch in front of an audience, and the audience and judges would vote who's first, who's second, who's third. It was a really awesome event. And usually that's where competitions end. And I think what we did next was really the difference, the secret sauce, if you will, of the model, which is usually you pose with your big check, right? And that's it. And you know what? If you're a social entrepreneur and you're going to check for $5,000, that's not going to last you very long to do the dramatic change. Because as I say, social entrepreneurs have to be even more sophisticated than entrepreneurs. Because you're playing chess at 3 levels. Your customer is almost never the customer who pays you in a business. You've got to think at all these different, it's much more complex. So $5,000 might not get you that far. It was great acknowledgement, people were excited, but we did something different. And we invested time coaching for the next 3 months in our winners and prepared them for how to speak to investors. How to speak to investors. How do you pitch what you're doing to someone with money that will invest in what you're doing? We know that in the entrepreneur world. We don't know that too much in the social sector. And that's what's, I think, cutting edge about this model. So for those next months, we took people who had great social innovation and we gave them the language. We also reached out to the investment community. The investment community has not really been involved that much in social change. They have their foundations, they give money away. As one very large foundation said, we're not too excited about the results we're getting. And a large donor recently said to me, I don't know that I'm making a big impact when I donate money. I consider it a loss, really, financially. I want to do good, but there's a whole new breed of investors out there that's really exciting. And they're calling themselves social impact investors. And they're saying, I have my money, I've made my money, I want to invest in a program, and I'm willing to take a much lower return, and I'm willing to take a lot longer time, if they're doing social good. And that crowd of social impact investors is growing, and you know what their biggest complaint is? We don't have enough deal flow. There are not enough good social entrepreneurs for us to invest in. We have to create them. So I think that Saddleback, what you're doing here, while I think Barbara's right, we're going to take this to a whole different level because you, in your very open-minded strategy, you're opening this up to people outside of Orange County. Michigan's limited to Michigan. They were very parochial about it for obvious reasons. You're saying if somebody outside wants to do it, so we could in this contest find ideas outside of this county and maybe outside the country that are really amazing ideas. So the bottom line is, as of the last few weeks, remember those 10 winners? 8 of them are now under a due diligence process for investment. 8 out of 10. That beats any of the odds of the groups I worked with when I worked and did coaching in Silicon Valley with Google's groups and all that. That's a huge percentage, 8 out of 10. And social impact investors want to see this work. And if it works, it's going to transform the way we do charity in this country, and it's going to transform capitalism. We're no longer going to be able to look at capitalism saying the shareholder is the person who just invested in my company. These are all shareholders. The whole community is a shareholder. It's going to transform it. And we do have to transform capitalism. We have to transform charity. We have to bring all these sectors together. When Todd was speaking at the very beginning, he was mentioning all the partners that were involved in this. It's going to take that to make this work. We're going to have to bring people in the academy, the academic world, to work with the business world, to work with the investor world, and we have to translate across these sectors. We're not going to solve this just one sector at a time. It's not going to be the nonprofit sector, and it's not going to be business giving money away. We're going to all have to work together. And I think we're really set to do that here. That's what's really exciting. As of today, we have over $1 million investments going to those winners in Michigan. And when I say that's just the first seed, the investors are saying, I'm going to give you this much money, and if you can go to the next level, we'll invest more. Those same investors are interested in coming here. They're from all over the country, by the way. They're interested in coming here and participating in the final pitch event for winners in this contest. So again, the prize money kind of gets people excited, but I can tell you, the real story is what the opportunity to sit in front of an investor who could invest $100,000, $200,000 in your idea. And that's what's really going to change the game, folks. That's what I'm very excited about. So you heard a really good example of what a social entrepreneur is, and we're going to have time for questions, but I thought it might help if I just shared some of the winners from Michigan. And what you'll see is they're very creative and very innovative. I wrote them down. One of my favorites is Brenda. Grew up in Detroit. She confessed something in her pitch that she said she never talked about publicly. She had been raised on welfare. She became the first African-American woman in Michigan to run a coffee roasting business, which she learned to do. She became successful at it. She's created a social entrepreneur opportunity called Javaho, where she takes women from welfare, trains them to work coffee carts, and makes them owners of her company. Coffee cart, amazingly, costs $25,000. The return on a coffee cart on these sites, $100,000. Do the math. This is a very profitable business. These women are being taught hospitality, they're being taught how to manage their finances, how to show up for work, all these basic skills. Brenda has a unique ability to bring these worlds together. And I think she has tremendous potential for investment. Then there's Chris. He won an award given by Magic Johnson for an under 30 candidate. And his idea, if you're familiar with crowdsourcing, which is online fundraising, Kickstarter, Indigo, he created one for local communities who are doing social change. Within this week, he will have inked a deal for $800,000 investment in his model. It'll probably be our biggest one in the shortest period of time. And he's under 30. And that, imagine all the social change he'll leverage with that. Jillian has a brilliant idea. She's a University of Michigan graduate student. She developed a plastic filter that filters blood for people in low-income areas, developing world areas, where you have to reuse blood. And I won't get into the graphic details because many of you people are still eating lunch. But the bottom line is 3 African countries have already requested to use the product. They're just waiting for Europe to regulators to allow it to be regulated to be used. And that's a graduate student who came up with something that will literally save thousands of lives. Jack had a great idea. His idea was he got donated laptops, right? People throw them away, they don't know what to do with them. He takes laptops that are thrown away. He teaches kids who have dropped out of high school how to repair them. They repair them and they resell them into low-income communities. Everybody wins. And it's self-sustaining because it makes a profit. The laptops are originally donated. And then there's funds for the training. Rich is a veteran, and he came up with a biodegradable packing substance for when you get packages, you get those little white styrofoam things that will never, ever, ever go away for history. They'll be around longer than any of us because they're not biodegradable. He created a biodegradable one, and he stamps it out in the image of the product he's selling. So it has a double hit, and he's hiring veterans who can't get back into the workplace. He's a veteran, and he's reaching out to veterans. So he's got a team of veterans he's already been invested in. And then Jeff and his church would go to Brazil every year and volunteer to do mission work in Brazil. And he said, we came back one day and said, you know, we live in the suburbs of Detroit, and we fly to Brazil. Maybe we should move to Detroit, and maybe that's where our mission is. He moved into Detroit with his wife, and he's created a hydroponic growing program in a burned out factory in Detroit. What that means is, and I'm learning all this too, is that he grows fresh vegetables and fish inside in buildings that for communities that can't access those natural. And it's using a building that's already been lighted out. And then Amy has created a company where she takes graffiti, there's a lot of it, right, in Michigan, and she turns it into beautiful jewelry, and she gets women who are coming off of welfare to get them off welfare. They're taught the skills of jewelry making. They sell these little cufflinks, necklaces. They're sold out, and they're selling them for $300 a pop. Very cheap to make, but everyone has a little note from the woman who worked on it too. It says, I just want to tell you this, first name, but this is who I am, this is what I did, thank you for buying this product. PBS is about to do a series on her. That's just a couple of the models, and what you can see from hearing those winners is nobody could have thought all that up, right? Nobody could have thought of a plan and said, this is what we're going to do in Michigan. It all came from individuals at the grassroots level who lived in communities and saw a solution and are looking at systemic change. So it's very exciting. So I guess you can tell by my enthusiasm, I really think this competition has an opportunity to do more than just give a person a check, an award. It's more than just give one person an investment. Once capital starts flowing to these people, capital and the investors start getting their money back, which they will, we're going to transform capitalism. Because everybody wants to make money and do good. We've just been told we couldn't for so long. And that's what this competition is all about. So I started this by mentioning Dr. King, and I ran across a quote of his the other day that I just want to share as I wrap this up, because I've never heard it quoted before, but I think it sort of sums up this competition. He said, true compassion is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It's not haphazard and not superficial. It comes to see that the edifice that produces beggars needs restructuring. I think the edifice that produces poverty, we need to restructure things. And I think doing it from the grassroots here in Orange County, it's going to be very exciting. As we've gone around and talked to your community, I have to say, one of the biggest differences between Orange County and Michigan is you have, for whatever reason, maybe it's your beautiful weather, your beautiful views, that you probably can't even appreciate how gorgeous it is. Whatever it is, you have entrepreneurism in your DNA. Everybody I've talked to, instead of saying, well, our school's going to do a contest on that, or our group's going to do that, we're not going to work with you. Everybody said, we want to work with you. How do we cooperate? How do we support that? How do our students get to apply? That's the attitude, folks. We all have to be entrepreneurial, and if we do it for good and social change, we can really change the world. So thank you very much for having me here and working with you on this, and I hope everybody in this room participates in some way. Enters the contest, decides to invest in somebody, comes to our pitch events, gets their friend to enter the contest. Whatever it is, you all have a role. Thank you very much.
We are building an edifice of change. We are building together collaboratively an edifice of solutions to those issues and those challenges that we've got. So we'll continue on with the how of it all and the how of this competition. And we're going to start with, I think we're starting with Rebecca now, is that right? We're starting with Scott.
What's the next slide?
Next slide, please.
It's up to you, it's competition time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's Rebecca. That one. Go, girl.
So Rebecca Knapp. Anybody in here been a student of Rebecca Knapp? Oh, yeah. Yeah. She was doing some entrepreneurship out in the quad this morning. Very innovative, very, very innovative. We're privileged to have her at Saddleback College. She's also my office mate, so we have food fights and things like that. But she brings this tremendous energy, tremendous background and experience, and she's got a sense of mission about her that I think you will hear. She inspires her students to do these things. She is the social media instructor, brand new course this year, and knows her stuff. So I'm delighted to have you learn from Professor, full-time tenured faculty, Professor Rebecca Knapp.
Thank you, everyone. My mission today is for you to get out your calendars, because I'm all about deadlines this morning. And a couple of things. First of all, you might have seen this flyer on your table. Speaking of social media, I'm pretty much running the social media marketing for this particular event, and there are 3 main accounts that we are running: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So I encourage you to like, follow, connect, whatever it might be with those accounts. And I've been tweeting as we've been sitting here with a lot of different things. So pay attention. Those are going to be the updates and the reminders. And we're also sharing a lot of really strong and powerful resources for entrepreneurs. Links to how to do the perfect business pitch, or what is social entrepreneurship, or who are some examples of successful social entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of rich resources on there that are advantageous whether you're entering or not. So get connected, and you'll hear a lot about us over the next few months for sure. So the deadlines are in the main handout, which is also on your table, this beautiful piece that talks about pretty much everything on the competition. Technically, it officially opened last Wednesday, and if you've looked, there's a platform called iStart, which Scott's going to talk more about, and that's where you enter all of your paragraphs in your business plan and all of your pieces of your submission. So that has been open since last Wednesday, and you can go on there. You don't have to enter it all at once. You can do it in pieces. Today is our big kickoff, of course. And then the next important deadlines that you should have on your calendar: April 18th is the last day that we'll be accepting the submissions of your business plans. So that is the big cutoff deadline. From that point, we'll be furiously reviewing submissions and judging, and all of that will be going on until May 3rd, when we will announce the finalists and who will be moving forward in the competition. You then have about 7 days. So while you're waiting to hear, you would probably want to practice your pitch, because you're going to need it anyways, even if you're not a finalist, to pitch to other people as you're going through your business. And on May 10th will be the big showcase event where we'll have the judges there. The showcase of pitches will go on. And it's kind of like, how many of you are Shark Tank watchers, or Dragon's Den, or I've heard a new one, The Profit now is out. Any of those types of shows, it's going to be along those lines where you're doing your pitch before the real investors, and they'll be judging along the way. So those are the key deadlines. They're in this handout if you missed any of those, but mark those on your calendar. Have the next slide, please. And then the other thing that we're doing along the journey of this process are webinars, because we recognize that you might need some coaching along the way or have questions, and we're getting already a slew of questions, and so we want to make sure everyone is addressed adequately. So there are 3 that are actually topical based that will answer certain questions and address any particular requirements of the competition itself. And then there are 2 that are just open Q&A sessions. So if you have particular questions that are specific to your business or to your process or anything, we're going to be there answering those questions. So those days, the first one is this Friday at 6 p.m. Also on this flyer, where it says engage, these are the instructions on how to get to that webinar. And those, you'll see those posted also, but keep that handy if you'd like to call in or just be a voyeur online and watch what's going on. We'll be hosting that and talking a little bit about social entrepreneurship, the competition, what is it, and what exactly do you need to do to enter. The second and fourth webinars are those general Q&A sessions, and at the same time we'll be having a Twitter party, which I'll be totally honest is experimental, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be online as we're doing a Q&A webinar, and you can just tweet questions and tag us in there, and we'll be answering you online. So we're kind of bridging the social media with the live webinar at the same time. The third webinar is March 14th. That one will focus entirely on your business plan. What should it be in there? There's a lot of posts already on our Facebook profile that talk about what your business plan should be, what it should include, how it should be written, all of those types of things. So we'll be reviewing that specifically in the different sections of a business plan in detail. The last one is on April 4th, and that's because now you're looking closer towards your presentation. That is, how do you give a good presentation? What is your pitch? What's included? What should your demeanor be, your dress be? What should your, presentation look like? So we'll be covering all of that at the last webinar, and that's pretty much all of our team will be there doing those. So if you miss a webinar or if you can't access or whatnot, you can always email us. Our general email for this whole competition is entrepreneurship@saddleback.com, and we promise you'll get a reply in pretty almost immediate response. So thank you for coming today, and I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Cox.
So we're going to move on to some more information and get you more charged up by Dr. Scott Frederickson, new to Saddleback College. He feels like he's been here for 10 years already because we really put him to the test. but he's family already, and so you can see me things. So he comes to us from Alaska, and he kind of brought this wealth of experience with partnering. He knows how to engage people. He's kind of irresistible in that regard. And he's brought some wonderful people to work with us collaboratively. He knows how to run competitions. He's building an entrepreneurship center. It's not a place yet. It's not a physical place yet, hopefully, before too long. That'll happen as well. But it's magic. And so we're going to have him bring his magic to the competition today with our kickoff. Dr. Scott Frederickson.
I haven't heard magic before, but that's I like that one. Part of the process that we're going to end up doing here is before we get going, it was an interesting experience that happened Monday night. I was invited to the UCI new Blackstone launch plan. They got $1 million. UCLA, USC, and Irvine each got $1 million from the Blackstone to set up an entrepreneurial event. So David invited me to this event, and I got to meet all his people down there. But the thing that was interesting, he had a bunch of about 12 UCI students who set up booths that were trying to, pitch their businesses. And the interesting thing about it is, of the 10 or 12 that were there, 8 of them were all doing social change businesses. And so that was a very interesting statistic to see what his students are doing in there, and they were all excited about this, what our competition is doing, and about participating in the social change that we're trying to do. So, how to enter? Things that are required for this particular competition is we're going to have, using the Kauffman Foundation. Kauffman Foundation is the major player in academic entrepreneurship in the educational fields. And we're using their iStart program as our administrator for uploading and downloading all the various connections on the plan. So you're going to go and set up an iStart account. It's real easy. You click, put your name in, and you get an account. Emails come back. You've all done that. So part of the things that we're going to need to upload is a business abstract, a 1-paragraph abstract of what your business is. We're going to have an executive summary of 2 to 3 pages of what you're going to upload as a PDF. Eventually, you're all going to do a 60-second video pitch, all a Shark Tank-ish kind of event, except it's going to be you with your iPhone or some form of medium that you're going to upload to YouTube, and you're going to then upload the link to the iStart account so that we can see what you're up to in a 60-second pitch. And then at the end, there'll be a comprehensive business plan, which will be about a total of 21 pages maximum, with 5 pages of financials at the end. All of us on the faculty here and any of the other academics in here are all available to help you figure out how to do the business plan. We're filling out this week and next week a resource section on our website, which are all the how-tos about everything you need to know. How do I write an abstract? How do I write a mission statement? How do the financials work? We're going to have spreadsheets out there that are automated, that do all the math for you, that you fill in your company information, do a screenshot, and drop them into your business plan. So we'll have all those aids to how to do all of the particular functions. So these are the how-tos. And once we get that all done and the closing date comes, we have an initial cut from all the applicants. Hopefully we have 100, 150, 200 applications. And we're going to cut that down to probably around, at this point, we're thinking about 20. And then the judging panel selects the finalists. Then we will have, from those 20, professional people from the business plan community out there do the judging. We don't want our professionals out there who are CEOs of businesses to have to deal with 200 business plans. So we're going to have them deal with probably a cut of about 20 or so. And then of those 20, we're probably going to come down to 5, probably about 10 at this point. And each one of those 10 will prepare a 15-minute oral presentation a la Shark Tank. And so you're going to do the presentation. There'll be Q&A from the judges. And then that's it. So there's your kind of 30 minutes. It's 15-minute presentation and 15-minute Q&A, and the next group comes on. And the winners will be placed in order and awarded accordingly. And then we start the summer training to do the pitch that Rich was talking about. So those are the perfunctories of how we're ending up doing it. If you have questions, go to our website and you can download all the rules and regulations on how this all works. And if you have any questions, contact any of us through entrepreneurship@saddleback.edu. And all three of us are all hooked up there. There's a phone number, and we get back to people quite quickly. So hook us up, and we'll look forward to you competing.
So at this point in time, the best of the best have been selected, they've been evaluated, they've been judged, they've pitched, and they have some kinds of awards. And that's not all. There's more. That's what makes, I think, this competition so special. There's more. Those people who are selected as the finalists, following their receipt of their awards in May, become, we'll call them our fellows. And our fellows, those however many people they turn out to be, assuming somebody applies, you know, we have to have some. However many they are, will then participate during the summer months between May and September in receiving coaching from professionals in order to make their plans and their presentations top-notch professional business plan presentations. They will get coaching from accountants. They're going to get coaching from attorneys. Well, we have to keep people in. They're going to get coaching from the people in our speech department and other places that are professional presentation coaches. And so they're going to get training on the operations aspects of their plan. For example, are their human resources planned to be adequate to what it is they're trying to do? Are their human resources plans take into account all of the employment laws that they need to have there? And so we will be doing that all during the summer and getting them ready for September. So what's different? So what happens in September? In September, the investors come to listen to these business plans. And these are the investors that Rich told you are coming here with hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in your innovations, in your ideas, in your plans for change. And so in September, we will then have that final presentation, the final Shark Tank. If it's too big, we'll have it at some other venue in Orange County someplace. That would be a nice problem to have. We kind of had that problem today. So this is huge. This is a big deal. Everybody in here can be a social entrepreneur. Every area, every discipline. We mentioned horticulture. We mentioned automotive. We mentioned healthcare. Whatever your interests are, you've got a problem. There's problems there. And we want you to find the solutions and get support for those solutions, those innovations. So that's going to wrap up the social entrepreneurship competition in Orange County.